Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper. Thank you for stopping by my channel today. I'm working on an art journal page, so get comfy and let's get crafty. This is the Artsy Trio October mood board, number 26. I'm still playing catch up. I'm finally only a month behind. And I'm inspired by the colors because, green's my fave. But also I like this kind of foggy building in the bottom right-hand corner. So I'm kind of going that way, kind of, sort of. My art journal page is a piece of paper that is 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and I'm going to cover it with pattern paper. Now, why do I do this on all of my Artsy Trio art journal pages? To break the blank page. And also, I have 56,433,000 gazillion pieces of pattern paper in my craft room that need to be used. This is a great way to do it. Break the page, use my stash. I am putting liquid gloss medium on the back of the pattern paper and on one side of my art journal page. I am smoothing down the edges with my fingers, trying to make sure the edges get stuck down really well. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to add some more of that gloss medium to the front of the art journal page. And then I'm going to kind of clean up my work surface a little bit and heat set it. I'm sorry if you can hear my almost 14-year-old. He has decided that every time he goes to take a shower, he must now serenade us at the top of his lungs. Teenagers are awesome. Once I have my page all dried, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess pattern paper with my Tim Holtz scissors. These are the long ones that I talk about every time you see them because they are awesome. I just make sure I wipe them down with a microfiber cloth before I put them in their cover, and then they're good to go. To knock this green pattern paper back, I'm going to add a little bit of gesso, white gesso over the top. Don't freak out. It dries back. But also, I don't want the pattern to show as much as I want I don't want the pattern to show as much as I want the color to show through. And then in the end, the color doesn't really even show through that much either. So once I have the gesso heat set, I'm going to add some texture paste through a stencil. This is a Joggles stencil. I have, before I started the video, put a whole bunch of Tombow glue on the back because this is a really fine stencil. Tombow glue, if you let it dry, is repositionable. So I can take that stencil off and reposition it because I put the glue on the stencil and then I let the glue get so it wasn't only tacky and, all the things. I am using, what brand is this? Master's Touch, I think I got it at Michael's. It's a little bit of a thicker modeling paste, and I'm smearing that on with a palette knife. I am going to let that dry, clean up my stencil, all of the things. It is dry. I let it dry for a while, probably a good hour. Went on to do some other things. I'm going to add the color combinations now. So I've pulled out a green, a yellow, and an orange acrylic paint. These are the distress paints. They're in my craft room. I'm using them up. I'm using my stuff. That is my goal this year, is to use the things up before I replace them with other types of products. Like these distress paints, they're great colors, but I don't do a lot with other distress products. So it doesn't make sense to have only that brand of acrylic paint in my craft room. And I can get other ones for the same price or more, or less rather. I am adding the paint with a makeup sponge. I am adding this in no discernible pattern over the top of and around those swirly flowers with the texture paste. The only thing I'm doing is not putting the orange and the green together because that will make it ucky. Because orange and green don't play nice together, but yellow and green play nice together, and orange and yellow play nice together. So as I'm adding the paint, I was going to say makeup paint, with the makeup sponges, I'm kind of blending the green on top of the yellow and then putting more green. I'm kind of blending them, going back and forth. I'm holding it with my pokey tool because it was sticking to my fingers a little bit, but pokey tool didn't have enough downward pressure without putting a hole in the page. So we're just going to make it work. We are going to Tim Gun this page and we're going to make it work. I tried to avoid having specific shapes. I was looking for more blobby looks. Almost achieved that. but you know, I'm going to go ahead and heat set this paint. And now I want to emphasize that design in that texture paste. So I pulled out a Distress spray stain. And instead of using the sprayer, I used a dropper, like a medicine dropper or a perfume dropper. And I'm just kind of dropping little droplets of it onto my page around the lines of the pattern and tapping my page around. Sometimes I'm using my brush to kind of clean it up and get it back in there. I'm trying to emphasize that design without saying, well, hello, design, there you are. You know, that was my inner Mrs. Doubtfire, in case you were wondering. I have all kinds of personalities going on today, including the one that runs really, really, really late because this video was supposed to go up on Friday, and it's clearly not done that yet. I'm working on it. All right, I let this dry for a long time. In fact, days. My week got super busy because I volunteer at my at the elementary school that my kids used to go to. Long story. We won't go into that today. And we were preparing for our to help with the Veterans Day program. So I put that aside for a couple of days. So it is good and dry because it had to be good and dry to do these rub-ons. So I go back and forth with the popsicle stick that is included and then this big ball stylus that I have. It's one of those tools that you can buy if you do things with like polymer clay. I am just adding some random bits of things from this package of Tim Holtz rub-ons because they're black. It's just because they're black. I needed some texture. I needed some interest in the background. I knew I couldn't stamp very well over that texture paste. So I use my rub-ons. Again, using the things that are in my craft room. I don't know how long I've had these. I have this package and one more that are just about used up. They're a great product if you're adding, if you need to add interest to the background without stamping. So the next thing I'm going to do is kind of fog up this page. I don't know if that's the right word. In the mood board, that the bottom right-hand corner photograph was that kind of foggy, boggy area that had some buildings in the background. And I'm kind of sort of going there, and I say kind of sort of because I'm not using the same picture or type of building. It's just kind of the idea of having this colored background with this image of the building on it. So I'm kind of trying to fog up or gray up the background a little bit. This is a picture of some ruins that I cut out of a National Geographic magazine. I have a very wonderful friend who, when her and her husband are finished with their magazines, she passes them along. I give the woodworking magazines to my husband, and I cut up all the others. So I put some of that gloss medium, there we go, gloss medium, on the back of the magazine cutout. Then I moved it out of the way, cleaned up my desk, put some of the gloss medium on the art journal page, and then went over the top of the magazine page. Now, you know, if you've been here before, I don't love the gloss medium. It was one that I bought not realizing that it's not a great product if you live in a humid area. So once I heat set this, I am going to flip the page over, and I'm going to, that one end that is long enough, I'm going to bend over the back, and the right-hand side, as you're looking at it now, was too short to glue down, so I just got some scissors and trimmed it down. I mean, the plan was to fold it over, but it wouldn't fold over. So here is my mood board with my buildings and my shiny magazine page and my pot of clear gesso. So clear gesso will dry completely clear but matte, so I don't have to worry about that glossy adhesive becoming sticky or tacky in the humid area that I live in. I don't have to worry about this page sticking to the back of another page. And also it takes the shine out of that magazine page, which I appreciate. I don't really love the shiny, shiny, shiny on my art journal pages unless I add glitter on purpose. All right, so I have heat set that clear gesso, and you can see everything looks fine except it's not shiny. And I've pulled out a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. This is one of the old style barrels. This is a brown, It is an India ink pen, and on a non-porous surface, that ink will smudge for just a minute with a slightly damp finger, which is why I keep grabbing that baby wipe. I'm going through the picture and deepening some of the shadows in that photograph around those ruins, just trying to make it look a little bit more dimensional on my page, just because that's what I like to do. The almost last step is to add the pattern paper to the back of the art journal page. This is something I started doing with my very first Artsy Trio page because the back of my page got so dirty, it was just ugly to look at. So I've added some double-sided adhesive right across or right along the edges and then filled up the rest of it with liquid glue. The double-sided adhesive will keep the edges down flat, and the liquid glue is kind of a more permanent bond, especially on this kind of textured art journal page paper. It's an acrylic paint paper that I got for like $2 on a clearance rack in a store because it's the right size and it makes great art journal pages. And it was $2. Gonna go ahead and trim the rest of that paper down just to get me my clean edges. And I'm liking how the page is turning out, but it's I pulled out my hole punch and added the holes to it so I could put it in my binder because all of my art journal pages go in the binder. I'm signing it and I'm dating it October, but on the back I'll write a note that I actually finished it in November. I'm going to add the mood board that I've printed out to the back of my art journal page because that is what I do. And back here I will add the note that I actually created it in November, but it is the October board. Now, it needed to be foggier, right? Because that picture was kind of a purplish fog. I didn't want to add purple because purple and green don't really go well. So the first thing I did was pull out that gray watering can archival ink. And then I pulled out a fern green archival ink using the same brush, just kind of went over it again. I'm getting kind of a foggy look. And then I pulled out a cobalt blue because the blue and the green will play nice together. Not great with the orange, but the rest of it works okay. Because blue and purple are complementary, they kind of make mud, but because that paint is dry and under gesso, it's not too bad. So here is a close-up photograph of my page. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I have a couple of other videos here I think you would like as well. I have also added a subscribe button. I would love it if you subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me anything you want me to know about the page. Give me a thumbs up and have a really fabulous day.